or when I'm out and about in the city, when people just walk up and say, hey, Mr. Nags, or, Ramurthy, I find it extremely adorable. And when the women's team lost, she sat down and said, I will win the trophy next year. And boom, she did it. My mom used to run a convenience store and we met people from all walks of life. I feel like the internet is a place where people, when they watch content, they need to feel like they can do it too. Like I remember Puneeth Rajkumar telling me in his own words,
Danish, good evening.
good evening. Thank you very much. Welcome home. I'm so glad you and your crew showed up. It's a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling to do this conversation here.
Thank you for letting us in. And the season, the flavor of the season is home tours. So should we start with the home tour?
The home tour, no, because I'm very, closed about my personal life. I like keeping my private life private. And that's why if you look at my Instagram account as well, it's a little bit of a content machine right now. So there's either brands or there's content or there's nothing else. Because I think that was a conscious decision that I made some time ago. Where I thought I'm absolutely okay with people being critical of what I do. Everyone's welcome to have a say at it, and I have tremendous respect for every opinion that's ever come my way. But the moment the conversation shifts from my work to my personal life, then the lines are blurred for everyone. And I had to make that sort of clear distinction between what I do at work versus what I do at home. So the home tour will have to wait for another time. I'll perhaps preserve that for Architectural Digest. And we'll do everything else over here with Film Companion.
Absolutely. At the outset itself, I should mention this.
Yeah.
I have come unprepared.
Okay.
Not because I don't respect you. I wanted to test this conversation out to see if I can have a casual conversation.
Yeah.
And not really be too serious about the questions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with your opening comment, I think this is going to end up being a very serious conversation as well. because what if in my limited conversations with you, be it the previous interview or now, I think you are serious about everything that you do, everything that you say and stuff like that as well. I don't think you take things lightly.
I do live life in a very light way, and I don't tend to travel with a lot of baggage. In fact, none at all. And I think the one thing that I've learned is, funnily, an improv concept as well. It's yes and, which is to essentially take the story forward.
Correct.
So I'm constantly moving forward, and what happened has happened, and but I'm not frivolous with the way I live my life. I'm serious about what I do. I'm serious about, the choices that I make. I'm in control of certain things. Whatever is in my control, I'm fully responsible for that. But humor is such that when people see it from outside, they think it's an absolute nut job. I'd like to believe I am a nut, but I don't know. There's also a strange sense of being put together. I think that's also largely because of the family that I come from, the school I went to, the fact that I have a wife, I have a home to manage, I have responsibilities. So I can't really run away too far. I've got to still be within the bounds of it.
Without pushing this point too much, this response is also an evidence to that.
Is it?
When I put that question across, I was thinking the response will be a funny one, but it wasn't. It was a very serious answer. I mean, I like that, but I'm just sort of putting it out there as well. To see what you have to say.
No, I think that the thing is, what I've realized is there is a clear distinction between what you see on Instagram, on a video or in a film, or me as Mr. Nags, versus how I am in my personal life. There is a very clear distinction between the two. It's almost like I'm playing a part there. I finish playing the part. I come back home. I'm home. I'm somebody's son. I'm somebody's husband. I'm, responsible for the life that we live, which makes it all the more easier for me to be very serious about the stuff that I do. Like when I'm writing something or when I'm shooting a video or whatever. When I say serious, it's a fun job.
Agreed.
But I still got to have a great amount of discipline doing it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that distinction makes it easy. So, like for example, every day at 5 o'clock, I stop working. I don't work after 5 o'clock. Whatever happens is between 9 and 5.
Sure.
whether it's writing, whether it's, shooting a brand video, or whether it's, working with somebody on something else. It all happens till 5. At 5:30, I'm off to the gym, and that's my everyday life.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we got to wrap up at 5:30.
No, you can go on. I mean, we started this late, so it's okay.
Sure. Okay. In this conversation,
Yeah.
I want to touch upon 3 things. One, you as a person who creates content, you as an artist, that is one part of it.
Yeah.
IPL and Danish is the other part of it, and then films, right?
Yeah.
Hey, first of all, how should one pronounce your name? Danish, what is it?
Danish.
Danish.
At this point, everything's welcome.
Correct.
It's been too many years now. And I mean, so long as people call me by my name, I'm very happy.
Danish.
And I'm used to even the other names that they call me with now. So, Ramurthy Avre, Mr. Nags. And I find it very adorable, and I turn and it's so sweet, like especially when I go running or when I'm out and about in the city, when people just walk up and say, hey, Mr. Nags, or, Ramurthy Avre. I find it extremely adorable, and I feel like I'm very blessed to have that connection with the city and the people, who watch my content and live here. I think that's very special.
Have you always lived in Bangalore?
Yeah.
I see.
Except for a brief part of my life where I lived in Gonikopa in Coorg. I went to a boarding school there. It was beautiful. It's about 15 or 20 minutes before Virajpet. So I spent 7 years of my schooling there. And then for my undergrad, I actually had a seat at Christ College. But around that time, for some reason, I knew I wanted to do something in the media, but I did not know what I wanted to do because we were very young at that time. And I found an ad of a college in Delhi, which is for the Asian Academy of Film and Television. So my mother took me all the way there, and we figured the affiliation changed during our train ride of the college. So my mom said, listen, I worked very hard. You need a degree. I'm not just going to give the money for you to, get whatever graduation. You need to get a good degree, like any regular middle class home. So then we came back, and Christ College said, sorry, the date to pay the fee has passed. So unfortunately, we can't take you now. And around that time, fortunately for us, we found a college in Coimbatore. So somehow fate had it, I ended up in Coimbatore for 3 years.
Oh God, huh?
Yeah, and I had good fun. I mean, very nice city, lovely people, great fun in college as well. So I think that's the only period I've been away. And of course, for a couple of years, I did the Middle East circuit for radio. I did Bahrain and Dubai. And then I moved back.
You did your schooling in Bangalore?
Yeah, I went to Frank Anthony Public School.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So
till 7th, these guys take claim on me and say I am till 7th. Just make it clear. Cambridge layout was only till 7th. Then I went to Coorg. Yeah. And that is, I consider Coorg Public School my alma mater. I really, because the principal of that school had a very profound effect on me and the person I am today. So I consider that. But Frank Anthony's also played a part in my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So FAPS calls you their product and their success, and
I don't know. No, they don't, because they had a bigger comedian called Kannan Gilu came out of there. So I think they're more proud about that.
Yeah. So the reason I wanted to just know a little bit about your childhood and upbringing is, now in French biryani, you play an auto rickshaw driver from a certain sector of the society, right?
That's right.
But that's not who you are.
Yeah.
In your real life, right?
No,
and then one cut, two cut, you play another person. Humble politician Nagaraj, you play another person, right?
Yeah.
Now, I just want to know, let's go back to that French biryani colony sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Of course, your task as an actor is to get into those roles and that milieu and all of that.
Yeah.
But in real life, has Danish been exposed to those sectors as well?
Absolutely. So I grew up in Domlur. And I mean, now inner ring road and stuff with that
intermediate ring road.
Intermediate ring road with Dell and all of that has come up now. But I grew up around a time when we would cycle into the army grounds from across that ring road, which they were constructing at that point. And, going to Amarjyoti layout in Domlur was like, oh my God, we were like the kids from Stranger Things. You know what I mean? Like just cycling all the way in there. Or going to even like second stage, which is, towards Indranagar, at least the periphery, right, of Indranagar. It was a huge deal for us to go cycling there. And I grew up really like, in the thick of things. I didn't really grow up, it was never sheltered or it wasn't protected from all these things. Also because my mom used to run a convenience store, and we met people from all walks of life there. And I think that was a huge sort of point of exposure for me, which also explains why I can slip in and out of languages, why I can speak in so many accents and so on and so forth. I think it was being, and till date, I'm very years to the ground. And I kind of, like, I can interact with anybody and have a conversation and still be just as happy as anyone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Abish Matthew runs a show called Son of
Abish. Yeah.
And then there he does something, I don't know what the IP is called, but then they deconstruct a joke and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So if I were to put you in that spot, like in a screenplay, typically there's the act structure and all of that. What would it be for a joke?
To kind of break it down, say for example, we're talking about a 1-minute Instagram video, right? There's got to be a game that you identify. And that's an improv rule. You identify the game because you just know that that's where the jokes are. And of course, the idea is to kind of land on a punchline that settles the whole video. You set up the context of what the video is about. Then you go into just joke telling, and then you end with the punchline. And if it can connect, it's even better.
Can you explain what you mean by game? Are you saying something that's happening that day, that week? Is it the flavor of the week? Or?
Yeah, so it depends, right? Like that's topical, for example. That's topical. Like, I'll give you an example of that. The India-Pakistan happened last night. I woke up this morning. I thought we should put NRIs and their experiences at the stadium. We spoke about how they went there and there were only hot dogs and fries. But thank God there were their Telugu friends from Texas who showed up with like Pappu and Topu, Tuppa and, Avakai and, Rasam and rice. Please. So the game is what? The game is about basically American Desis being more Desi than Desis. That's the game.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember many years ago, I went to America once and some of the good people there took me to see some Arangetram. I don't go to one here, right? They're like, you'll be connected to your culture. You must be missing this. And I was like, I don't really... I'm as foreigner to this as Bob sitting to my right, but you know what I'm saying? So that's the game, right? So I think that you identify the game and then you get down to the punchline of it. So in a 1-minute video, you just know that you have to go bang, bang, bang from the start. You don't have time.
Sure.
You don't really have time to tell an elaborate story unless you can tell a story very quickly. Like one of my favorite sketches that we did was about people reversing a car. That's happened to me because we didn't have a car in our house till I'd finished my 12th. My mum used to ride a kinetic Honda. And the first car we got was an Alto. And it was a huge deal to park that damn Alto 800. Because I always thought I knew more than her. And she always thought she knew more than me. And she was banging it into a pillar. I was banging it into a pillar, wall at the back. And we were both fighting with each other. So I was saying that to someone one day. And then next day I made a video with it. And so many people shared it, and then we just brought in random characters. So I think it's just about putting in these little pieces and then presenting it. Yeah.
Going back to this recent video, so you watched the match and right then did you know that you're going to do something the next day or today about it?
Yeah, because watching a game with me can be a little, it can be, it's stupid fun. It's not like the whole game I'm doing that. But there are bursts where I'll just do a random thing and be like, oh, look at that. Imagine that NRI guy now. I'll just say shit like that. And then by the time I've finished a game, I've run through like 25 lines. Then I just have to, table it and say, okay, fine, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I have my writing team, 2 incredibly talented boys. There's Kritar Srinivasan, who's a stand-up comedian. Very talented. There's Avinash Belakala, who also wrote French Biryani, by the way. He also wrote that. So I'm glad I work with both these boys. Call them, rattle the ideas off, and they're also very funny. And we're all on the same page. So they throw in their ideas, and then we have a 1-minute mashup, and boom, we just put it out there. It's as simple as that.
Got it. At what point in your childhood or whatever, right, college days, did you really figure out that, okay, I can be an artist? Or did you discover an artist?
No. Listen, I don't think it's that simple.
Correct.
I don't think any of us can turn around and say, I knew it, I didn't know it, which is why I tried many things. I tried being a copywriter at Saatchi & Saatchi. I even worked at Raj Musics. Music's with an X.
Correct.
All right. I was a VJ there. Like typical. I started as a producer. You know those shows where they're all screaming TV volume kadme maadi, TV volume kadme maadi. I don't know if they do those shows anymore.
Not
Live call-in shows. So I would produce it. And there was an anchor. I really forget. I do not remember her name, but I was producing it. For example, if she would speak to, say, an auto driver who's called in, my job was to tell her what she could talk to him about. Of course, she was very smart herself, but my job was to tell her, like, ask the gentleman what he has for lunch, what is his wife packed for him, or ask him how's the day been, what is the first boni like, right? Like, just kind of being curious about what people do,
right?
And then say, hey, okay, do you want to dedicate a song to someone? What song is it? Which film is it? And then play the song. Until one day, her father said she can't go to work. So she called in it was a 5 o'clock show, and she called in and said, sorry, Manelappa Bittilla. So they said, who's there? And then they looked at me and said, you go on air. So I went on air. And that's when I met two very interesting people with whom I'm friends. Like, not friends, but I would say, like, I really like them. One is Yogi. Jinke Marina had just come out at that time, which is why if you see till date, a lot of my videos, I use that song a lot. Because I've known him for so many years, right? And the other person who till date sends me his stuff is Manikant Kadri. I met both of them at that live show. So I was actually doing Raj Music show, and then 1 month later, I said, this is not my jam. Like, I can't do this. And then I quit that. And then I joined events. Tried that. I was in client servicing. Didn't quite enjoy that, and then radio happened.
Got it.
So I think I've been around. I don't know if I knew always I wanted to do this. In fact, up until like 5 years ago, I had a job. I did, right?
In radio, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying there is no one point in life where you really discover that I'm good at this.
Look, I think you kind of build confidence over a period of time. I don't think I always had it. Also, I've had, honestly, touch wood, I've had some great people and great mentors, without whom I don't think I would have been able to kind of come this far. And almost every job that I've ever done in my life, I've had an incredible mentor always, backing me and saying, don't worry, you're doing this right or you're doing that wrong. If I think about radio, I had Darai Soonawala. You can't ask for a better mentor. I mean, one of the greatest voices on radio in the city. When it came to movies, there was my first film. I had Rakshit, I had Hemant, I had Pushkar sir. I had 3 of them, and they'd just done Godi Banna Sadharana Maikattu. They'd just done Kirik Party. So they had that whole, universe available. Then much later, when I did a French biryani, I had Puneeth Rajkumar, and by that time I knew I had a solid mentor in him. I remember he was one of the first people to watch Humble Politician Nagaraj as well. Called us home, watched it, took me to the side and said, listen, you're good at what you do, continue doing that. If movies happen for you, great. If not, you continue being on your path.
Sure.
Like, just don't leave everything. And I think that advice I hold good till date. I'm glad that the right people came in to say the right things to me at the right points. Even when I got Malai Kotai Valiban with Mr. Mohanlal, the first person who got to know about it was Sudeep sir, because I happened to be with him in Melbourne. I was with him when I got the call. So I came back like running and I told him, and I said, I'm really nervous. I don't know if I can act so much. I mean, it's Lijo Joe's Pelisseri, it's Mr. Mohanlal. I was like, I don't know if I can act so much. And he was like, just ease out. You'll sail through it. Don't worry. Again, I've just had the right set of people advising me all the time.
Going back to what Puneeth Rajkumar told you, which is do the Danish thing. If films work out, good.
Great,
okay. At any point, right? Maybe the Humble Politician time or French time. At any point, was there an inkling to take up films full time or something like that?
Never. Never. I think I might have been on the fence, but that's something that you wake up thinking every time you do a film, you think this is it. Yeah, now I'll do this, and now things will just fall in place. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. That's how all of us think. But I think sometimes that grounding is very important. Right through my conversations with Mr. Puneeth Rajkumar or with Mr. Mohanlal as well, I remember one day before Malai Kotai Waliban came out, he said something fantastic to me on a Twitter Spaces chat. I said, sir, 43 years in the business, does it make you nervous? Fair question, right?
Correct.
He said, no, man, we've done our part. Now the audience will decide. I wish someone had told that to me when I did my first film, because I was the nervous wreck. I was dying. Like I remember Puneeth telling me in his own words, saying, just relax, it's done. Have you started working on your next film already? Legit, I'm not kidding you. When we were doing one cut, two cut, good, bad, everybody said whatever they had to say, and I'm not even going to defend that. I'm not even going to say anything, right? That film is what it is. Now I can't change it. But the fact that he said, when he came to that shoot and he said, okay, have you started working on your next film? For me, that was a bigger motivation than anything else, saying that the only way to stick around in this business is to keep doing stuff. Just keep doing stuff. There is no one moment that is significant enough for you to pick and say, this is going to change my life. Because life is good. Life is great, right? Like, I have a perfectly happy life. It's just that the career changes a little bit or it doesn't. It's fine. I mean, life goes on. Career goes on as well.
Sure. Now, going back to the one from where we sort of went in a tangent, which is you are working with a couple of writers.
That's right.
Right? And then you get this idea, you tell them this is the idea, and these are the few things that I want to maybe say in the video.
Yeah.
And then you tell me what you can add to it, and then we all together.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, one challenge that I've had is trusting someone else with my idea, and because each one's tastes and sensibilities are different. Right? Nothing about anybody's skill.
Yeah.
But then the wavelength that I am thinking at is not reciprocated usually.
Yeah.
So my question is, how does it work for you?
Look, they all have individually very accomplished and good careers. Again, like I said, a lot of people in my life, a lot of things in my life are constants. They don't change very soon. I mean, these are guys that I've known for a very long time. And that's why my writing room is also that it's closed. It's very closed, but the trust factor among us is so much that we know the three of us will pull any situation off from anywhere. And if we need a third perspective, when I say third perspective, I literally mean third perspective. I say that they're one set of eyes, I'm one set of eyes. If we need a third perspective, then we are more than happy to collaborate with people and work with them as well.
Initially, when you started working with co-writers, did you notice any resistance from your end? Not out of any other...
No, you got to trust. You got to trust. That's again a very...
Then their joke has to work for you, right?
It has to. But you don't work with people... I mean, look, it's a joke. It's not really... I think especially with secure comedians, it's a joke. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. As simple as that. You move on to the next one. I don't think anybody... Like I said, right? It's an improv rule to trust. Because only when you trust and co-opt do you make your partner look good as well.
You credit a lot to improv.
I do. It's for me, it's the way I live my life and the way I go about my comedy as well. You can't just you can't just say that, you know, when I write something with these boys, we're trying to complement each other, because eventually I don't have to look good, they don't have to look good, the scene has to look good, the sketch has to look good. That's most important. Of course, I'm the voice carrying it forward and there are things that go with it, but it still does not mean that ideas are not welcome. There are so many times when I'll throw ideas and the boys are just not excited. I'm like, are you guys not feeling it? They're like, no, we're not. And there's no ego in saying, maybe I should introspect, no problem. Because that's where trust comes in, right? Because I know that they are not going to push me down a ditch. And likewise, they know I'm not going to push them down a ditch.
Sure. But with that trust established, are there instances where you sort of take that joke into the script, although you're not fully enjoying it?
No, never. That never happens. A great example of that is Mr. Nags. For 7 years of my life, I did it by myself. 6 years, I did it by myself. Yeah, like I built that property, that IP from the scratch. There was no idea of Mr. Nags, there was no idea of what the personality was, and then it evolved into this. And from there, the next set of 4-5 years that I finished 10 years now. So 10 years, right? The last 4 years. Kritarth has been a part of all of them. I got Kritarth on board because I was running out of ideas. So now it's his ideas. when he started to feel like he had nothing explosive to offer, we got Avi on board. Avi started giving us ideas, and then the three of us together started churning new ideas out. Like, I'll give you a great example, right? We had written the questions for Virat, for DK, for the fast bowlers, a bunch of them, right? We had written all these interviews and kept them ready. But it so happened that the interview didn't happen at the time we had written that script. Time had changed and we had to get something more contextual to what was happening at the point where we shot and released the video. So we just did an overhaul. We had another writer work with us, Gautam. So he put down a lot of the interview questions. So when we worked together, all of us, and we got back to kind of reworking the scripts, there was no ego from any of us. Because at the end of the day, we know that, look, the content creation business, when it's somebody else's money, I feel it's also, it's a service industry. I got to give value back to the clients that I work with. You know, it can't be that, you know, I'm this creative genius who's sitting under, you know, a tree and I come up with ideas and I give it out to people. It's not that. I also have to work what works with the brand, what works with what they want. You know, like for example, if you saw, I don't know if you saw the last interview with Virat, where there was a question about, let's talk about your friend Sunil. And there was a pause and then I said Chetri, and Sunil had just retired that day.
Correct.
Right? So it was, we had to add that in. But that came in place of a different joke because we thought this was a lot more contextual because it's also another great that we're talking about, Sunil Chetri, and we thought we should keep that. And the humor will flow in any which case. So yeah, so it's basically very adaptive. It's not rigid as a system.
Sure. I am an interviewer.
Yeah.
And I had this question for you, right? So how do you go about an interview? Is there one central thing that you want to give to the audience? I know you said you have few people writing the questions.
Yeah, but it's a comedy interview, right? It's very disjointed. So if you look at my Mr. Nags interviews, they're very disjointed. But if you look at the podcasts that I do with RCB podcast, when I do, the RCB podcast is, again, right? I can't take credit for it. It's not my brainchild. It's Ajit's brainchild. Ajit and his research team do a large part of what the theme needs to be. For example, this year it is IPL and the people around IPL. And full credit to him for kind of putting this whole structure together. And then I have a structure to follow. So the tone and the points of the conversation are dictated by him, much like what money does for you as a producer. In my case, when I do something like that, it's Ajit. But when it is a comedy interview, which is disjointed jokes, but there is some whatever theme running, then it's left to me. Though I do run it past the RCB guys for the simple fact that they're clients, and it's the unsaid rule of the business, as simple as that.
That was another question I had. How serious is that running it by them part? Meaning,
it is serious.
There's no time, right? Let's go to the bit
There's always time.
Let's go to the bit that I enjoy the most, which is the post-match Mr. Nag's press meet, right?
Yeah. No, that is left to my discretion. That is left to my discretion because of no time.
Correct.
Because of no time. But I'll tell you, and I'll be very honest with you, for 9 years, I have run past every joke that I have written past the RCB team, except for this year's press conferences, because there was no time. Because we were shooting literally 10 minutes after the game was over.
Correct.
Literally 10 minutes after the game was over.
Even the previous season was...
It was the same, but I would travel with the team. This year I didn't travel.
Got it. And so tell me about how you write your script for that.
While the match is going on, I'll be honest with you, if you hang out with a bunch of comedians in a room while they're watching a cricket game, there is always rubbish that is being said.
You're watching as a team.
Like we are whatever, sitting down, somebody is standing in the balcony, somebody is swinging on the swing, whatever, somebody's getting a drink, somebody's doing something. Then you watch the game, then somebody's just screaming stuff, then 4 of us are laughing.
But don't make it sound so casual, it'll make us all feel inferior, because if it's like...
I'm being very honest. It's not at all like we sit down and, I'm listening to them like, so what joke do you have today? It's not that. It's honestly quite wild.
Is that the secret? let me ask you.
I don't know
if you were serious about it
Yeah.
in terms of being regimented and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Would it work, or would you say that is not my style? It may work.
Look, the seriousness only comes into the fact that we have a video to deliver.
Huh.
That is where the seriousness is. Now, what we do to get to that video can be either stressful and troublesome for 5 people around you, or you can just make it fun for everyone and everybody also has fun. And luckily for me, the people that I work with are all very fun, chill people. Nobody takes what they do more seriously than it needs to be taken. It's serious for that moment, and after we're done, we're wiping our hands off and we're just regular boys who are getting a drink, getting a meal together, just enjoying ourselves. That's God's honest truth.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Would you say that is the only truth, that there is everything is a project, right? At the end of it,
It is, absolutely.
By that I mean there is a desired deliverable,
Yeah.
and there's a deadline,
Yes.
right? This entire thing about making it perfect, refining it does not work.
Look, I don't know, right? I mean, it depends on the medium. It depends on what platform you're presenting this on. I feel like the internet is a place where people, when they watch content, they need to feel like they can do it too.
I see.
It's the little element of rawness that they enjoy. Like, what are the videos that go viral? A cat, a baby. These are all very real things. These are very pure things that you watch in a certain emotion and you feel so connected with for 30 seconds that you like it, you decide to share it. It's beautiful, right? I don't know how much highly produced content
No, that is fantastic.
travels.
If I were just to add to that,
Yeah.
in our channel, during the COVID time, we were all shooting reviews
Yeah.
from our homes and
Yeah.
all of that, and we did not see any dip in viewership.
Yeah.
After we all got out of the lockdown,
Yeah.
COVID and stuff,
Yeah.
we started producing it well, and there were comments which said, "This is overproduced
Yeah.
for a review. We don't want this." Right?
Yeah.
So, go back to your home setup and stuff like that.
Yeah, because,
Sort of goes with what you're
no,
saying.
because the internet is a place where everybody belongs in whatever form factor, and that's the beauty of the internet. You don't want to distance yourself from them to a point where they feel like, oh, this is unachievable. When I do a joke sitting in a t-shirt which has toothpaste on it, and you'll find enough of them, because usually while I'm brushing my teeth, I get some idea, and then I call these boys at 10:30 in the morning, and then we're making a video. It's not because I'm not wearing that because it's a look. It's not produced. It is just who I am. I really don't care. I want to tell a joke. I want to do something fun. I want people to enjoy it, and that's where it ends.
Because these people who are now in Danish's ecosystem
Yeah.
are used for all the projects
Yeah.
that Danish is a
Yeah.
part of, regardless of the scale
Yeah.
of it and all
Yeah.
of that. Is Danish the face to the client? As in, where I'm getting
It's
to
an interesting
is
question. It's an interesting question. Finish it. Finish your thought.
if Danish is the one who is sort of liaising between, or talking to the client and stuff
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
how do you do the negotiations part?
I don't.
Huh.
I don't. I talk ideas. Money is spoken by somebody else.
Okay.
I'm not good with numbers in general. I'm quite horrible with them, and I have to be honest. It's funny because we had a friend who had come over 3 days ago, and we were trying to multiply 40 into some 30 or something, and we were all struggling to get whether it's 12,000 or 1,000. So that's my level of intelligence, and I'm being very honest about it. I'm not very good with numbers. That's done by somebody else. But when it comes to ideas, then it's there's no pretense in the way we go about our business. It's a service business. I'm at your service. I am your client servicing man. I am a salesman at heart.
Sure.
And I'm also creative.
Today, you've shot one video.
Yeah.
And, are you happy that you've used your day?
That's it. That's my employment for today.
Sure.
That's, because look, I made peace with not having a regular job many years ago. So it doesn't rattle me anymore. There are days when there is work, there is days when there's no work. And I think that's not just me. I think that's every artist ever on planet Earth. We're all used to it. You befriend that beast in your head of sort of that sort of weird sense of discomfort that you have. You kind of find that out, and then you're good, and then you march along. There are days when you don't have work, and that's cool. Yeah.
Sure.
I also did 2 auditions today, by the way. So I've had a busy morning.
Really?
I have.
For films, you gave auditions?
I did.
Huh.
I auditioned for 2 things.
What language films are they?
One is in Hindi, the other is in English.
Okay.
I don't even know if they'll come through, but I've just done it. I think I've bombed in more auditions than anybody else. You might just be interviewing a legend right now. Most number of auditions that have failed. Because I wake up, I do these things. Yeah, you got to keep constantly doing stuff, right? Never say no.
Yeah, the one thing that I sort of took back after the conversation that I had with you previous time and this time as well is, I don't know, do you like calling it hustle?
No, I stopped hustling. Hustle would be, I won't say hustle, but I work hard. I'm very like, what? I don't know if it's a hustle. Yeah, maybe it's a hustle. I don't know.
See,
look, hustling would be me doing this. Like my mum hustled. She raised 2 kids, ran a convenience store, took a 2-wheeler to KR market to buy vegetables to sell. She was a hustler. I just feel like I am dabbling within the same zone. I'm dabbling within the same zone. And I think I've kind of understood what makes me comfortable now. I will not do anything outside of my comfort zone.
But at the same time, you are okay to put because this is how it should have always worked.
Yeah.
And I think in Bollywood it still works that way, which is auditions, right?
Yeah.
Here, I think we took to it and then we said, no, it doesn't really work for us.
No, I have reached out to people. I sent a message to Mr. Prashanth Neel as well, saying I'd love to audition for a part in your film. I think I texted Mr. Santosh as well, saying I'd love to audition in your film. And that's because that's the only way I know how to do it. Because I don't know.
But why do it? Are you somebody... I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, because...
Why do it?
I need the job. I want to do the job. And I think these guys are all extremely talented. And they probably... I'm not even in their consideration set. And fair enough, right? Because they're all constantly looking at talent. They're all constantly watching films. And then to be able to do this, you got to just, say, hey, man, I really want to work with you. I sent Lokesh Kanagaraj a message. I've sent Geo Baby a message. I'm asking for work all the time. Shamelessly, I'll ask. I'll say, hey, can I audition with you? No problem. There's no ego in that.
But why? As in, what is... You're saying
because
work,
I want the
right?
job.
You want the job. What do you mean I want the job?
I want to work with good people. I want to work with interesting people. I want to work with people that I watch and go, my God, how did this person do this?
But would you do that without getting paid?
I messaged Srini, who made Birbal with
Ghost
Shivana.
recently.
Ghost. I messaged him. I said, can I please audition for part 2? Yeah.
Part 2 is, I think he's sort of
Oops,
prepping
did I
for it.
say it out? Oops, I'm sorry. Part 2 of another film. Sorry. So I asked him. I asked him to audition me.
No, you said, I want to get the job.
Yeah.
I want to get the gig.
Yeah.
I want to work with...
And I don't want someone to do it out of compulsion.
Sure.
I want them to do it if they think I really deserve the job or not. And if they criticize me on my work and say, man, you don't work for this part, I'm absolutely okay.
Sure.
So that way when I say I want to audition, I know that I'm asking for work. I'm genuinely asking for work. And I'm not even like saying, I'll come audition. If I'm not good, no problem. Please reject me.
Sure.
That's a part of being an actor and I'm happy doing that.
See, the reason I'm trying to find
You didn't expect that, did you?
I didn't, and I'll tell you the reason. Because I come from an industry where scripts are written for stars. Scripts are written and then stars are approached.
But I'm not a star.
The director and the director and the writer are auditioning in front of this thing, star. But then you are a star in a slightly peripheral...
I'm not. I just feel like I'm just a talented guy who got lucky. As simple as that. A talented guy who got lucky who has, of course, I know there is a certain job that I do that I'm good at. I can say that because I've been here for 16 years doing that job and I'm good at what I do and I'm only trying to get better by the day with that one domain. When it comes to acting, I've dabbled, I've tried, I've genuinely tried. I've done my whatever. Yeah, I did Humble Politician Nagraj. When I remember they called me on stage and gave me Saima Best Debut Act. Where is it? Yeah, that trophy, it's here. I think my wife's packed it up also. So I had a Saima, I think it's there on top somewhere, I don't know. Anyways, I got a Best Actor award. I thought that is going to change. I thought that is going to get people looking at me. Because then nothing happened. Then nothing happened. Then I had to go write. Then I luckily met Panna. Panna said, okay, I'll make French biryani with you. I thought that would do something. Again, nothing. Then I did one cut, two cut. Again, I thought something, but the movie was not very well received. And then we also realized, I said, yeah, man, we messed up. We botched it up in places and the audience is right. It didn't thing. Then I did the series, Humble Politician Nagaraj again. And that also went through like 2-3 studios, this, that, running around in Bombay. I finally made that happen somehow. And then we ended up releasing that show on Voot. Now it's on Jio Cinema. Again, from there also, I thought, I picked up a bunch of awards there as well. It's just that I don't go to awards or whatever. Very rarely somebody gives me something, so I rarely go there. And even if I go, it's in Mumbai, convenience. I'm like, just give it to the producers. I'll collect it from them at some point. So Applause Entertainment has a lot of my awards. I thought that'll do something. That also did nothing. Then I did Malay Kotai Wali Ban. I thought, this is it.
You've made it.
I don't know if I thought I made it, but I did think that this is going to be the inflection point.
Correct.
I thought this was going to be the inflection point. I thought, okay, now maybe. And then I just waited. People said, be patient. I sat down patiently. It's been 6 months.
Sure.
And the asking never stops. I've reached out to literally every person you can think of. Including like, I reached out to, I sent Nazria a text on Instagram saying, can you please ask Fahad to, just want to meet him. There's something possible there. And I have no shame in doing that. I've asked Rakshit, I've asked Hemant for Sapta Sagara Daachelo. I called Hemant, I hounded him. I said, bro, tell me I'll audition. And he said, Danny, there's nothing that fits. What do I do? And I get that. I get it. It's not like anybody has an agenda against me, but it's just that they're making something.
Sure.
You either fit in their vision or you don't. So I have no qualms asking for work.
So you are asking for work, seeking it and all of that. Sorry if I'm, really pushing this too hard or I'm
no
not
worries, don't
at
worry.
all.
Yeah.
Do you have to do that to keep the lights on? Or is it because
Oh, no,
you
not
need
at all.
validation?
Oh, no, not at all. I don't need the validation. I mean, when I do a video today on Instagram, I have 3 million people who watch it. I don't need the validation.
Correct.
I'm good. I'm really good. I don't need it to keep
Or
the
is it
lights
that
on.
you also want to, whatever,
I just want to do it. I enjoy
leave an
it.
imprint in the film industry?
I do.
Huh.
I do.
That's the thing.
I want it. I enjoy the medium. I love the idea of telling a story. I want to be in one film that just reaches everybody and
Sure.
everybody likes. That's, I guess, every actor is trying to do that, right? Now it depends on how badly I want it. Like, for example, I did a tiny part in a show called Scoop, which is on Netflix. Tiny part. Why did I do it? Because it was Mr. Hansal Mehta. I just want to hang with Mr. Hansal Mehta. He's one of the best filmmakers in our country. Even if I have to play a newsreader, I'll do that in my sleep. I did it. There was no ego there.
You had a role in 777 Charlie as well.
I played, yeah. I did that because Rakshit said, Kiran said do it. I actually told Kiran, can I play? I remember when he started talking about 777 Charlie, I said, bro, can I do whatever? Then he said, no, nothing's there, this, that, but Kandita Nimana, Nan Kash Martini, he said. And then he made 777 Charlie. And then I did that one part, but I was very happy to do it because they're good guys. Rakshit has invested in me when I had no film cred to my name. Would I not go back and do that much for that man? You know what I mean? Like, I would gladly because I got to hang out with Rakshit Shetty on a film set. It's amazing. I don't need it to keep my house running. Honestly, I really don't.
Correct.
But that's exactly where I remember having a chat with my wife after I did one cut, two cut, and she said, if you're doing it because you love doing it, just do the right ones. Just don't run after everything.
Got it.
And I think that kind of changed a lot the way in which I look at this. But that doesn't mean I'm not texting people or requesting people, for work. And I'm more than happy to do that. So yeah, so to kind of break it down, if I have to just simplify it, I don't mind asking for work, but I'll not do just anything.
Sure. Just one last bit on that.
Yeah.
Sorry for being insensitive.
No, go for it.
Does any part of it stem from a fact that there is RCB and all of that.
Yeah.
And there are the other, other work that you do. But there's this Instagram videos that you keep putting out.
Yeah.
Is it because that somewhere because you haven't, gotten that fulfillment just by doing this? Or do you see completion there? Do you see completion
No, I
there?
don't see completion there because I genuinely believe, touch wood, I'm a lot smarter than that. I believe that no one opportunity can change your life completely change your life. You have to do it once and do it again 10 more times to sustain it. I sometimes feel, thank God, I remember I was, and this is all like, life adds up in multiple ways. I was, I think, 18 or 19 when I went to, I don't even know, you'd remember there was a music channel called SS Music.
Yes.
Southern Spice Music.
Yes.
There used to be a VJ called Craig there.
Correct.
I participated
in
Chennai. I participated in the SS Music VJ hunt, and I had blue hair and stuff like that. And I made it to the top 5, and it came down to contract, whatever, signing, whatever. And Craig called my mother and said, "Auntie, he's not signing this contract." He said he first needs to finish his graduation, and TV itself might not continue to be what it is. He needs to have a graduation. And at that time, I thought my mother was being really rude by not letting me do it. But okay, whatever. Continued doing whatever, and I stuck with it. The reason I gave that example is because I feel that there is no completion with anything. I just feel like there's fulfillment.
Sure.
You feel good. It's why I took the wrong train to Delhi. It's why I ran around during college hosting events for 1,500, 2,000 rupees at Mettapalayam and in Coimbatore when I was there. Or, I stood in Bangalore Central and I did events because it's all about recognition. It's about that, it's about that sense of, man, I've done something which is creative and cool. And I feel like films are the ultimate pinnacle of creativity because there's performing arts, there's like actual arts, there is, lighting, there's costumes, there's this, there's that. It's an entire universe of creative people. Sure. It's like a symphony. I think it's that I want to be a part of. Sure. And that's why I think films are very important. And it's something that I do hope, I'm not in a hurry, but I do hope that in this lifetime, I will be able to do at least more than a couple of times.
Do you also analyze cricket as a game?
I am bad with it. Okay. I'll tell you honestly, the reason I smile is because I'm honestly quite bad with it. But I'm not, I watch it like any other Indian. We think we know.
Okay.
Right? All of us.
Sure.
But, again, since we are a large country, there is, again, large percentages of every. I think I'm in the percentage that enjoys the game, wants our country to win, wants RCB to win, full stop.
Sure.
That's all.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with Rashman. Now, Rashman is somebody who really fascinates me. One, I think he's genuinely talented, talented human being.
Yeah.
And cricket is for sure a good facet.
He's a good thinker as well. Yeah.
He came to YouTube. I mean, he's still on YouTube. Killed it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watch it.
Yeah, I have.
He's an.
I was on Kutty Stories as well. I did a show with him when he started. I think 2020 he started doing it. I remember doing an episode. It was really good fun.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think he's a natural at it. And
of course.
And so forth. And then the way he sort of gets in, I mean, those become a little controversial, but then he gets into those because he's a thinker of the game and so on and so forth. So if I were to ask you about Ashwin and him being sort of a natural and sort of successful in most of the things that he does, and being out there and all of that, your sort of opinion about Ashwin?
I mean, he's incredibly skilled, and I feel like I've had the greatest opportunity through my career to meet people like Ashwin, who are just good at everything they do. Like, I'll give you an example of another person that I'm fascinated by, Elise Perry. I'm mind blown because that lady has played football for Australia. She scored a goal at a World Cup, won I don't know how many cricket World Cups. She's a great thinker. She's very smart. Similarly with Ashwin, he's just so wildly talented. He's written a book that I have at home. I'm looking forward to reading it. At the same time, he's a cricket analyst and he's playing the game.
Correct.
And he's funny and sensitive and all of those things, right? So you just look at them and you go, wow. I mean, like it's. I think that's one privilege that I've had that I will hold very close to my life. The fact that I've got to meet personalities who are widely talented and so put together. I genuinely think that's been the greatest perk of my profession so far.
No, absolutely, and that is what I'm trying to take advantage of.
I mean, I can tell you about my interaction with Virat, for example.
Okay, let's come to Virat.
Yeah,
right?
because
Now,
that's more real, right? Because I've actually had the opportunity to spend time with him for those 10 years that I've been with RCB.
As far as his career is concerned, which is being a cricketer, captain, so on and so forth, what is his greatness according to Dhanush? Virat Kohli's greatness. Just tell us tell us what that man is like, how great.
Yeah, I think what really makes him that great is the fact that he wears that level of the pinnacle he's at. And the fact that he wears that stardom like a t-shirt versus a tuxedo is, I think, what makes him really special. The fact that he's so easy about all of it and is very giving to people around him. Like, I'll give you an example, right? When he sits and does an interview with me, he knows there is a joke coming. But the fact that he can take that joke, for me, if you can laugh at yourself, you automatically become an amazing human being. And I feel like the fact that he can laugh at himself, I think, says everything there is to say about him. The fact that he knows that you laugh today, but you'll always come around tomorrow. You've got to laugh at those little things that you falter on.
Sure.
Because tomorrow there will be an upswing again. And I feel like that's what makes him as amazing as he is. Like, I'm saying this with the closest proximity that I've seen. I can say that the fact that he can laugh at himself makes him just great. And I think all of us need to learn how to laugh at ourselves.
Sure. That's, sort of excellent. But just to get down to real things, right? Is there an obsession that you have seen in him? And if yes, what is that obsession?
I mean, the fact that he'll go practice, play, carry his kit bag, I've rarely seen. I mean, look, the fact that I know the IPL ecosystem is such that these cricketers are doing ads, they're doing commercial activities, and they have dedicated practice slots. And some of them are also optional practice slots. Like every team has this across. They say some players, they don't say it to certain players. But I'm saying they put it on a group saying it's an optional practice session. The fact that he'll make it to every one of them and do this and do that. Like, understand that there is a commercial allegiance that's there because of the nature of the sport and the business of the sport. And still to say there is a sport that drives this. It's incredible, right? You look at that amount of energy. Like, if you look at the last Mr. Nag's interview that I did with him, it was at the back of a practice session. Honestly, he did not have to give us time. He could have said, let's do it tomorrow in the morning. He could have. But he came and did it. And I think that's why I like him as a person. The fact that he knows that there is things to be done. He's respectful of other people's time as much as he's respectful of his time, and all of us are as well. We're and I told him thank you as well. I was very grateful to him for doing that interview because he could have also done it another day. But he did it. And I think that's what makes him the person that he is. And I think that's why people around him, like him so much and will stand by him and say he's a great guy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Your favorite cricket commentator?
Ian Bishop.
I mean, excellent voice for sure.
Yeah.
Analytical wise, I can't.
And how he played in under 14 somewhere and stuff. So he's very well researched. Also, I've had the tremendous opportunity of watching this man go about his business when I did the 2020 World Cup in Dubai with ICC. I had a great opportunity at that point because I could see all these commentators, right? These are people I listen to and they're all there. So to see him watch like 4 sports, and it's true. He'll watch NBA on one screen, he'll have cricket on one screen, he's watching football on one screen. So he's very aware.
Wow.
He's watching some South Africa, whatever, league on one side, or whatever, right? Like whatever's happening in sport. He's watching all of it. And I think that's very fascinating.
Sure.
It's amazing you asked me cricket commentator. Because if you ask me who my favorite sports broadcaster is, my opinion changes immediately.
Who would that be?
Alan Wilkins.
Interesting.
Because he can
Can
do
you differentiate that for us?
How do I put it? Alan Wilkins can do tennis, he can do hockey, he can do cricket. He's a sports broadcaster.
Got it.
Cricket commentator will comment on cricket, and I think Ian Bishop is also a great sports broadcaster, by the way. But I just have an affinity to Alan Wilkins. Because Alan Wilkins was the first sports broadcaster that I saw. Yeah, I like a few of them, but
no, that's great. That's
like I like Michael Atherton, I like Nasir Hussain. Of course, I love Harsha sir. Who else? I feel like there's Ian Bishop. Who else is turning into a great broadcaster? Like there's a moment where Dinesh Karthik is turning into a great broadcaster. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he does like a Wimbledon or some sport one day. Because I like watching sport in general.
And also, would you agree, this is the era of people crossing over?
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, it is. Like, last year, RCB did an event called Leaders. And I was very fortunate that I got to, speak with Neeraj Chopra. And I think he's the only sports person that I've ever taken a picture with and put up on my Instagram profile. Because to do it in an individual sport is just incredible. But the fact that he was at a sports marketing event, talking about a business of sport event, right? Talking about the sport and how, he goes about his training and what sports management companies and brands and partners can do is just incredible. So I think that there are some people that I'm very, 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 very fortunate that I've had to meet. Like another person is Sruthi Hariharan, again, just terrific. I mean, like I heard this somewhere and it came from a very close source saying after the first debacle when the women's team lost, she sat down and said, I will win the trophy next year, and boom, she did it. I have an insane amount of respect for people who have that kind of drive.
This you can speak for yourself as well, and all the great personalities that you've met. What does it take to be a leader / what does it take to be at the pole position of your, the number one position of whatever domain that you're in?
I think the easiest way to say that would be care a little less about yourself and care a lot more about the people around you. Because when they look good, you have a larger team that will make you look good. And by virtue of that, what goes out to the audience that's watching, that scene looks great. And I think it's the fundamental of improv. It all boils down to that. Say yes and always take the story forward. If you're saying no, add a but. Come up with a solution. Don't hang around on the problem for that long. The third thing is always make your co-actor or the person who's living life with you look good in whatever form factor. Because when they look good, the scene looks good. All of us look good. I think that's the third thing. And I think just apply that to life as well. Life is just that much.
Sure.
The more you try to fight against something that's not happening, it'll only humble you that much more. It'll run you down to the ground. And I have been run down. And I've just realized the only way to be happy is to focus on what is in your control and do that right. Keep people around you happy. You be happy. And the uncontrollables will fall in place. And even if they don't, I think I heard a beautiful line that a cricketer from RCB said, Swapnil, the guy who just was a magic man, he came in and we started winning, right? And he said something beautiful that I think that just had a very profound effect on me. He said, Dunya jeetne ke liye aur bhi tarike hain. And that's honestly life's simple truth. You can win in many ways. You don't have to win just a particular way.
What does it mean to win the world?
Yeah.
Well, I think that is the note that we are ending it on.
Yeah.
One video, 2 auditions, and 1 interview. It's been a fantastic day.
And it's my wedding anniversary today as well.
Fantastic.
So it's a very packed day. It's a very packed day today.
a little, not a great thing to do. So much of work on your wedding anniversary.
No,
day
no
as well.
problem. Tell me. Tell
Are
me.
you married to your wife? To your work? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm married to my wife. I'm married to my wife who also understands that I got to do again, right? Like I said, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Lovely.
Like I know that I know that for you also to take time out from your schedule. You have 20 things happening. There are 5 dates that have been discussed. Now it's happening on Monday. Do it, no problem. Figure it out.
Yeah, but thank you once again for
No,
your time.
my
and
pleasure. Thank
happy
you.
anniversary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.